Some teams steamroll their way to first, while others felt like a cold war, while other teams, well, by technicality. But from this point on, the journey for 18 of these 32 teams end here. 2 teams get first-class seats for the next round, while 12 teams duke it out in the wild card, and only 6 will survive for another week. Who's gonna be safe this round, and who's gonna get the boot? They may have the script, but I got the picks for this year's NFL playoffs, the wild card. Kicking things off on Saturday, we got Houston versus LA. You look at these two teams on paper, LA's got the QB, both of them got equal running games, but LA just has the better pass catchers and the better O-line. You can say what you want about Houston's defense, but this team is just going into this playoffs banged up. And I think that's just going to be too much for Houston to take on for the Chargers, who scored over 30 points in the last 3 games. And before you come after me, they did this against Denver, a top 10 defense. And not too long ago, Houston faced off against one of the best QB running back duos, who also dropped over 30. Expect Justin Herbert and J.K. Dobbins to go off this game. Chargers are going to take this road win 35-21. Moving on to Saturday Night Football is Pittsburgh versus Baltimore, which, let's be real here, Ravens are probably going to blow the doors off of the Steelers. Pittsburgh is having their annual midseason collapse at the worst time, going from 10-3 to giving the Ravens the division on a silver platter. And now they have to travel to Baltimore to face off against one of the MVP frontrunners in Lamar Jackson and his backfield buddy in Derrick Henry. And this is without mentioning the Ravens defense, which is getting better at the right time. And speaking of defenses, I will say this game will be a little closer than a lot of people might think. I mean, division rivals and all that, and also with Zay Flowers potentially missing this game. So I got Baltimore taking care of business 28-21. Moving on to the early slate on Sunday is the Bills hosting the Broncos. And wow, this might actually be the toughest one to pick because I had Cincinnati making the playoffs, had the Chiefs use their devil magic to somehow rob this game from the Broncos. Believe me, I have nothing against Denver. I just didn't expect the refs to go off on the bye with Kansas City. I mean, I don't think anybody would have predicted the Broncos to make the playoffs after the Russell Wilson experiment. I mean, I don't think that was on anybody's card before the season started. But crazier stuff has happened, and Denver has proven people wrong over and over as the weeks go by. But between these two, you can go either way because these are both top 10 offenses capable of dropping 35 straight from the jump. Like, the one thing that I know is going to happen in this game is it's going to be a shootout. But despite Denver having the better defense, Bills just have playoff experience and also exceeded expectations. There's even a point where I've seen predictions of Miami or New York taking the AFC East. I mean, claiming the division in early December is just diabolical. And Josh Allen is having one of his best seasons and is the frontrunner to win MVP. He is my pick. And Baltimore fans, if we're going to bring up stats, then Allen should have won the MVP last year. Matter of fact, if we're going to bring up stats, you should be thanking the Chiefs for not even trying against Denver, because if the Bengals had made the playoffs, the MVP would have gone to Joe Burrow without a doubt. And coming back to talking about narratives, Josh Allen did this without a solidified wide receiver 1 and one of the best running backs in the league. And my last reason for I'm taking the Bills, the Broncos just don't have enough playoff experience. Maybe in a year or two, but at least made it this far. Some teams would be very grateful to even appear in the wild card if they took care of business in week 1. So I'm taking Buffalo to win this one 35-38. Moving on to the late slate, we got the Eagles hosting Green Bay. And you know what? Call me bonkers all you want. I'm calling the upset at home. This is if the Eagles don't have Jalen Hurts, who I think is currently on concussion protocol at the time I'm recording this, and if he's out, this pick would have made a little more sense. Now, I will be insane to deny that Philly's got a top-tier defense, a top-tier run game, and a top-tier O-line, and top-tier players on both sides of the ball, no matter the position. Now, this certainly should be enough to send the Cheeseheads packing, but this feels like a trap game. I don't know what it is, but something is telling me not to bet against the 7th seed Packers. Now, people can bring a valid argument that Green Bay hasn't beaten a good team, even though a majority of their losses came from teams within their own division. And I definitely don't want to hear Eagles fans talking about a Mickey Mouse schedule like you haven't ran through the same thing 2 seasons ago. Like you didn't just barely escape the Packers in week 1. So for this matchup, I'm taking Green Bay to pull the upset 27-24. Call me bonkers all you want. That's just my take. Moving on to Sunday Night Football, we got the Commanders versus the Bucks, and I could have sworn these guys faced off against each other in the playoffs before, only this game is going to be a lot more eventful. I mean, Marshawn Lattimore versus Mike Evans, best rookie quarterback in the draft in Jaden Daniels versus the top 3 quarterback in passing yards and touchdowns, Baker Mayfield. I predict this matchup is going to start out slow, but will gradually go into a shootout sometime in the 3rd quarter. I really want to pick the Bucks, but you don't know which team you're gonna get when they show up on Sunday. Either they're gonna blow the doors off, they decide to wake up after halftime, or keep this game down to the wire. Regardless of the scenario, somehow Baker Mayfield's gonna pull a Brett Favre stat line. I believe the Commanders are gonna take this one. Jaden Daniels is gonna give the Commanders their first playoff win in franchise history, in the entirety of the Commanders' existence, with a score of 27-21 in overtime. And finishing off the wild card round, we got Monday Night Football with the Rams hosting the Vikings. And if you watched my previous uploads, you know I'm always gonna rock with the horns. 100%. To keep things at that level, both teams going into this game aren't exactly in a good position. The Rams defense picked up this last couple of weeks, the offense has been getting quiet. It's like one side steps on the gas while the other side eases off. And in Minnesota's case, their ship is only as good as their captain, led by Sam Darnold. And if that same sail performs the same way it did in its season finale against Detroit, you can kiss that ship to the promised lands goodbye. There's a silver lining. These are the two healthiest teams going into the playoffs, which is my overall deciding factor. Because when the Rams are healthy, they can beat anyone on any given Sunday. This is the game the Rams will start their Linsanity run. Number 4 seed, Monday Night Football, offense is going to explode and the defense is going to give Darnold pressure all night. I got the Rams taking this one 21-34. And that's going to be my picks for the wild card weekend. And like always, anything can happen on any given weekend. And like always, be sure to follow me on IG and Twitter, and don't forget to like and subscribe for next week's video, where we're going to be going over which teams got the boot and which teams are still in pursuit. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.